Topic 2.5, order of operations with integers. How many different ways can you evaluate this expression? We can start with the multiplication. Someone else might start with addition or subtraction or division. And you'll find if you do it each one of those ways that you can potentially get different answers. In fact, it's quite likely a lot of the time. To ensure that everybody gets the same value, use the order of operations. The order of operations simply tells us to do the operations in brackets first, if there are brackets, then to solve any exponents, if there are any exponents, and then to do division, multiplication together from left to right, and followed by addition and subtraction from left to right as well. That way, anyone in the world who solves this problem is going to get the same answer. A good way to remember the order of operations is to consider the term bed mass. You may have seen this before, bed mass. Well, I'm just going to write it a little larger here. Okay. The B stands for brackets, so you always solve any operations in brackets first, even if they're addition or subtraction. Doesn't matter what they are, they come first. They're followed by the exponents. Now exponents we saw a little bit in Unit 1, whenever we were squaring a number. Remember that little 2 that was above and to the right of the number? Well, that's what we call an exponent. So you'll get more to that later on in math, but that would come next if you see it. Then we have division and multiplication. These two are actually grouped together. Doesn't matter which one comes first, we go left to right. So if multiplication comes before division in a problem, it gets solved first. And addition and subtraction, they're handled the same ways. They have the same weight. So they're always solved from left to right. Let's get some practice using the order of operations with integers. We'll start with the problem we were given on the first slide. 9 times 6 plus 36 divided by 4 minus 1. Now that problem can actually be represented and reorganized a little to look like this. 9 times 6 can be represented by 9 followed by 6 in brackets, which basically just means 9 sixes, plus 36 divided by 4. Okay, the 36 divided by 4 can be represented as a fraction, 36 over 4. Just keep in mind that bar means divided by. And minus 1, which is the same as the other side. Now let's use the order of operations to solve this problem. We know that we're not going to be dealing with brackets or exponents in this problem, so let's get right to division and multiplication. Now they're grouped together, so we just simply do them from left to right. That means that this multiplication part of the problem is going to come first, and the division part is going to come second. Then we can get to addition and subtraction, and they go from left to right as well. So we'll be adding next, followed by subtracting. Now let's solve this problem in that order. 9 times 6 is equal to 54. We are not going to be adding next, right? This is the third step, so we'll just leave addition there for now. But we can divide, because that's what comes next. That's the next step. So 36 divided by 4. 36 divided by 4 is equal to 9, and we'll save the subtraction for the end. All right, now we just continue solving in the correct order. So 54 plus 9, we'll be adding first. 63 minus 1. And 63 minus 1 is 62. And we can follow the same procedure if the problem was presented in this way to us. So remember that this means multiplication, this is division. So using the order of operations, this step is going to come first, this step is going to come second, and we're going to add third and subtract fourth. So we'll actually be doing everything in the right order, in the same order, as we did over here. 9 times 6 is 54. 36 divided by 4 is 9. And this will equal 62 as well. Now let's try some practice problems. Take A for example. 7 plus -1 times -3. Using the order of operations, we would check for brackets first. And I see two pair of brackets. However, there's nothing actually to solve within them. These are just negative integers. So we can let this go, move on to E. We know we're not dealing with them in this unit. D and M come next, division and multiplication. And we'll solve them from left to right. So that means we will solve this part of the problem first, and we'll do this second. So now I'm just going to rewrite this expression as 7 plus, and I'm going to solve the first part of it. -1 times -3. Now remembering my rules, a negative and a negative, when we multiply them together, will always, always, always equal a positive. So this will equal +3. And we can solve the remaining portion of the problem to get 10. How about question B? 4 minus 5 plus -11. Now in this problem, we do have a set of brackets with an operation inside. So that will be the first operation to consider. The second will be subtraction. So again, let's rewrite this expression. 4 minus, that'll be the second thing we do, 5 plus -11. Remember, when we're adding integers together, we just simply group them together. So if I group 5 positives and 11 negatives together, I have a value of -6. Okay? And then what you can do is solve the last part of the question. Now, a negative minus a negative is the same as a positive being added. So 4 plus +6 is a +10. Question C. -7 times 4 plus 8 divided by 4. Now, this fraction bar actually acts as a grouping symbol. So you can consider that the values above and below the fraction bar are grouped together. So they must be solved separately first before you're able to simply divide them. We're going to be multiplying first. We'll be adding second above the fraction bar. And then we'll be taking that value, once we have it, and dividing it by 4. So we'll just make that clear over here. We'll be dividing as the third step. So let's rewrite this expression. -7 times 4 comes first. That will be -28 plus 8. This is still going to be divided by 4 afterwards. That's our third step. -28 plus 8 will be -20. Okay, and -20 divided by 4, pardon me, will be -5. And question D. 19 minus -5 divided by -3 divided by 2 times -2. Remember that this fraction bar groups the value on top and on bottom separately. So they must be solved separately, and then the last thing you can do is use that fraction bar to divide the two values together. So next we have a look at our order of operations. Brackets come first. So we'll be solving this subtraction part first. Then we'll be looking at the division part, the multiplication part, and finally we'll be dividing those two values together to get our answer. So we'll start by taking 19 and subtracting negative 5, which can be done by adding a positive 5. 24 divided by negative 3, which will be divided by 2 times negative 2. 24 divided by negative 3 is a negative 8. And I'm actually going to solve this part of the problem too. That's our next part. 2 times negative 2 is negative 4. And we're left with that last part, step number 4, which is to divide negative 8 by negative 4. And that will be a positive 2, remembering that two negatives equal a positive. Be sure to take your time when you're solving problems like these. You may need to go back and review how to add or subtract integers, multiply and divide as well. Feel free also to use models, any models you've learned to solve any part of these problems. So if there was one part that got you and you weren't quite sure what I was doing up here today, then make sure you go back and review that part.